Okay, finally had a chance to look at the back door of the R2. Now, when I printed this, it didn't print out very well at all. So, in fact, you can see I've just covered over while I was filling it. But I had a lot of gaps and warps in the print. I started reprinting some of these pieces, but I thought it wasn't really worth it because they still weren't coming out that well. And I think on the new design, I think there's a single piece print, or it's slightly changed, I think. But anyway, so rather than reprint it and restart again, it actually fits pretty well on the back of the droid. So I just taped up that just so the filler wouldn't come pouring through. And I've just added filler to it, as you can see. So I haven't even sanded this down yet, but there was quite a you can probably see it. So there's quite a gap in a ridge in the height difference. You can see print lines on there, and it's all a bit wonky. But I think if I can just sand that out, it's not quite straight, as you can see. You may not be able to see, but it does fit on the back. So I think that's going to have to do. I'm not going to reprint it. So I'm not going to reprint it at the moment anyway. So I'm going to sand that down, get some paint on that, and hopefully that is the back piece done. Then I've just got to do a little bit more sanding on the body. But the legs are all done, all ready to assemble. So it's definitely getting there. I'm next looking at the hinges once I've got all this done. And I think they've changed. I think there's some new updated ones which look really good. So we'll look at that next, but I'll get this done first. Okay, about 10-15 minutes later of sanding. I've got the main filler off that, as you can see. I'm just going to get a file into it and cut these, you know, the panel marks around it. It's okay. There's a little bit of gap under there. I might put a bit more filler on. There is a ridge on there. Probably can't. You probably can seriously, but we'll see how that goes. Maybe that'll just fill in with some paint. It's at the back. I just want to. There's also some still ridge marks there that I've tried to sand out. I might give it another sand with some. I've been using some quite heavy grit on it and then some lighter thing. I think what I'll do is I'll dig out these, you know, the panel marks, get them all back up, give it an undercoat. And then you can, it's easier to see what the state of it is, but it's probably not too bad. It's not going to be perfect, but it's probably not too bad. Hello again. I'm working on the gripper arm at the moment, or interface arm rather, not the gripper arm, which I printed last year, but I've never actually got around to painting or assembling to any great depth at all. I did file them all out. I spent quite a bit of time on it actually last year. I don't know if you've sort of got as far as any of this, but there is the sort of rifling inside the bar, which this will slot into, so you can make it go up and down basically. So if we just put the other side on there, it'll move in and out. There's another section which goes on there, which screws in. I'm about to paint this. As I said, I've filed it all down last year, and that bit goes on there. So it effectively moves in and out like that, and then the whole arm is on the it's not the right one, but this is the other side, but sits on one of these. I've actually got this side mounted in the body, which I'll show you in a second, but rotates it in and out. I'm also printing. I printed just in PLA last, when I printed this originally, the servo arms, but I'm reprinting them in nylon, which is the recommended thing. So, because I think the idea is you've got to push them over these pieces, so I think nylon will pop over. I printed one there just now, but the other one's just finished printing, so that should just slot on this. I think if I heat that up, it'll go over the top, so I'll try that in a second. Just swing it around. That is another nylon piece being printed there. I'm using the blue tack because I've always had real trouble getting nylon to stick onto there, but on the blue it works really well. Also, if I just pan round, you can just see move the body around. I've got that mechanism in there at the moment, so that bit moves up and down against this. Basically, I've got the motor in there, so that bar is going to sit in there. Let's get it in camera. There's a proper description of this in Mike's drawings, and there's some really good AutoCAD versions of this as well. But that, obviously, you can see, keep it in camera, sorry, will move up and down. That sits in there, and this piece goes on. It's going to fall out. Let me just take that out before it falls apart. No, that won't. So that bit goes in like that, and we'll move up and down with that. If that's in the camera, which it is, yeah. So that's the plan. As I say, I printed it. I got all this cleaned out. You can just throw it on the floor. You can see if that's screwed in there. That will move up and down in there. Not brilliantly showing this on the camera, but that's the idea anyway. So I'm going to print these in. I'm going to paint these, undercoat these, paint these, get a silver finish on this. I think I'll sand this down a bit. Print the other bits of nylon, and I think that'll keep me going for the day. Okay, R2D2 time. I've painted these slats that go in here. Actually, I'm just looking at this. I've managed to chip that, which is a little bit irritating. And I might repaint them, but I'm not 100% sure about the colour. I think that works quite well with the green and the silver, the gunmetal. But I'm not sure if it works so much in these. But I'm going to give these. I'm not going to change it. I'm just going to give these a quick touch-up paint, just get them sorted out, and I'll fill that later once I get it in the panel. So I'm actually going to put these in, but I might respray them later. What I will do is I'll just drill out some holes in the back of here. So if I do want to take these out, I can just push them out with a screwdriver, and I'll just lightly glue them in with something, or maybe they're quite tight now, they're painted, so they might just sit in there. So I'm just going to give them a quick respray. These are fine. So I did all of those the other day. As I say, I think it works, but I'm running out of time to constantly respray it, so I'm just going to give this a quick touch up and assemble it all and put all that lot together. I've resprayed not respray, but I've sprayed again, if you see what I mean. The various pieces there. There's slight darkness on the bottom, but I think they'll be behind on the inside. So they're all redone, or resprayed, sprayed again. Most of it is now been painted. The legs are complete, the dome's complete. The back panel, I will show you. It's got hanging on the roof here. That's the back panel. That came out quite well. You may remember that I had a lot of warping issues with that, which I think a lot of people had. But I filled it. You can see, looking in the light there, you can see. I need to probably sand that down a little bit, but that's just had undercoat on it. So I'll sand that down, give that a spray. It's pouring with rain again as usual, which is a bit annoying. But the definition is quite nicely. The lines on it all seem quite nice. There's you can see a slight print shift going on down there, but you can see it up there as well. But it's not going to show at all actually. So I might just give that a small sand down, but that's actually worked out a lot better than I was expecting. You can see the fill lines on the back, because basically I just cover that with tape and just put a lot of filler in there, and then sanded it back down. So that it's actually it's much more successful than I thought anyway. So that's been done. That is it on spraying. So I'm back in assembly. I'm also, just to let you know, this is not R2D2 time, but this is that's actually the back of my in move. So I've sprayed that, undercoated, and I've also started working on, that's the chest plate for the in move. It's just while I was painting. So because I've got quite a bit of work to do on the in move, because he's got damaged arms and a half assembled neck. So I'm sort of doing 2 projects at the same time, and a bit of Dalek projects as well. So I'm painting lots of different things. So that came out all right. Just the first undercoat and spray and fill. You can see everything hanging off the roof if I just pan that up there. Pan the camera right back. It's the only place I've got to store stuff at the moment, so I've got things there. I've got the legs just hanging behind them, so that's the workshop at the moment. Just pan back down. Sorry about moving the wobbly camera at work. So that's where we are at the moment. I'm going to give these, I'm going to try and spray them. Just been spraying some other stuff. If it dries off all right, I'll be all right in this weather. I'll give them another coat, and I'm going to drill them out, give them another coat, and just stick these in. I was just assembling, putting these loosely in, and I suddenly realised why I had these pieces, which I'd painted silver, so I've actually got to glue them on the side. I've been looking at them recently, thinking, I'm sure they go somewhere. So they just, they're the extra filler bit that I forgot to put on. So just, well, I'm going to repaint them anyway. But I've just been trying the silver out, and I think it's all right. I'm not going to change the colour anyway, so... But and I drilled some holes at the back just so you can push them out, because it actually made it a lot easier, because they didn't fit first time and they'd have got jammed in. So I just had to sand them down a little bit so you can just push them out with a screwdriver. They'll obviously, I think ultimately they'll screw in, but I might put some nuts on the back so I can just pull them off, just so I can take everything apart, because it's why not. So I'm just going to glue on those sides and then spray it all again.